These experiences completely transform you from the inside.
And I don't have any of the trappings that we are programmed to believe that we needed. And so I know it fully and totally in myself. It's absolute bullshit.
Because I have been exposed to this light and this truth in my body, just as you two have. And so when we come together in numbers like this is what changes the world.
It's good to record any of these conversations, because there might be at least a snippet or something like that that's like really vital, and I don't want to forget it, or I'd love to hear it again, and if it hasn't been recorded, that there's relying on my mind is not all that great.
You and I, Susanna, have talked about how we have always felt guided, or we just are documenting for decades.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's always been something that has been like, okay, document this, but it's not like a voice saying, document this. It's just like you're
an impulse, feeling that it should be documented.
Yeah. So, Liz, welcome to our conversation, whether this is something made public or not. Can we say, just tell us where you're from?
So I'm from the UK, a little town called Woking near Guildford.
Yes.
Which I have actually found out that Susanna's daughter lives in Guildford.
How so about that?
Yes.
I know, right? Not surprising really to me, and I think it's very cool.
And it's literally 20 minutes drive away from where I am. So we've already got a bit of a connection there.
So awesome. I love it. I love it. And then also we have Susanna V, who you and I have spoken quite often with other experience. We were doing the experiencer dialogues for a while.
Yep.
And coming from the platform of really how we have been defining ourselves is kind of an evolutionary, we see ourselves as evolutionary experiencers. This has happened over time and it has changed us, and so on and so forth. So just tell everyone where you are from.
I'm living presently in North Carolina. I've been here for a time. I'm housed sort of at the moment, and I'm a nomad, but it domiciled sort of at the moment. Temporarily, but I don't know how long, and it seems to be an open-ended thing, and I'm just very grateful to have air conditioning in the very quickly developing North Carolina summer.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that you will be comfortable during this summertime heat and insects and all of that stuff.
Yes, I had a very exciting experience last summer that kind of like propelled me into a variety of things, and I'm glad to miss that out this time.
Right.
And where are you from, Eileen? Where are you?
Oh, I always forget that part.
I always want to
My
hear.
name is Eileen, and I'm the obnoxious experiencer that pumps out so much content it drives people crazy.
Only snow.
Again, it's from the evolutionary perspective of an experiencer. And I'm from the Pacific Northwest in the United States. Each of us here has come together in a magical way. We each have experienced this communion, this feeling, knowing interaction with, let's call it non-human intelligence, which can be ET or fairies or angels. When we get into these dimensional contact realms, these definitions are not necessary. It's only in 3D that we feel like we have to take these expansive experiences and bring it back down to communicate with most of the population that sees and speaks from left brain orientation primarily. So the intent right now is just to stay in the moment and begin to share right where we are, and as truthfully as possible, and with whatever we're, if we're going to potentially share this with the public, we we want to be mindful of our privacy, and at whatever level you feel comfortable to share. When you feel the inspiration, you're welcome to share what you're feeling and what you're seeing right now. And I just want to say that for me, this has been changing very rapidly, and it's coming through when I do a private session now. It's like the collective information is almost the same as the individual information. It's like whatever's coming to transform, it will be personal and it will be collective, obviously. So I'm finding those parallels in what I'm getting about the collective and what's coming through for individuals, of how we meet this transformational energy that feels like it's inching closer and closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this morning when I woke up, it's like, whoa, we're here, we're here, we're here. And I know I've been saying that for a while, but okay, now we're here.
We keep saying we're here. Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever feels inspired to share, more, you're welcome to.
Liz, as our first time together, do you want to go for it?
Yeah. Can I give a little bit of background?
Absolutely.
Please.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm slightly different to you guys in that you guys have been very much lifetime experiences. I've actually come to this relatively recently. So about 4 years ago was when I was literally as asleep as the rest of everybody else. And it was literally 4 years ago was when my first spark of something came in. And it was to do with trauma. And I ended up going to trauma therapy. And out of all of that then came everything else, basically. And my background before that is in dance. So I've always danced. I went to university and did dance. I had a job as a community dance practitioner. And then probably about 15 years ago, I moved into somatic practices. So I went back to university and did a master's degree in Somatic Studies. I then went straight into 4-year training to become a somatic practitioner, Embodied Anatomy somatic practitioner. And then I had my family. So that kind of got put on a shelf for the time being. Yeah, and then 4 years ago was when I had my spark, and I realized I had quite a lot of trauma stored inside my body. So I then decided that I would go and seek some somatic trauma therapy. And that's where I started my journey, really. And because it was somatic therapy, it was right from the start, it was experiential. And through that, I had quite a few experiences that started me off, and it was experiences to do with this lifetime that I was working through and kind of healing from. But after about a year of this therapy, I realized that there was something else inside me that was kind of going, there's more to this. There's more to this than this trauma in this lifetime. There's something else here that I need to find out about, and I really want to get to the bottom of this and find out. Mm-hmm. Really, the question was, who am I? Who was I before all of this trauma started in this lifetime? So that was really the main driving thing for me. So I left my trauma therapy, and because I'd then done dance and somatic practices, I then took on my own somatic healing journey. So I've got my studio here, and I just took lots and lots of time just to kind of be with my body and do whatever it needed to do to kind of heal from those traumas, because a lot of it for me was stuck so much in my body, not just in the nervous system, but in the tissues and in the organs and all sorts of places. So it was a real deep dive into somatic healing for me. At the same time, actually, as when I started my somatic therapy, I did start journaling. So that was 4 years ago, and I used my journals at the time as a way of expressing everything that was coming up for me in my journey, as a way to kind of work things out. And it started like that, and through that I was asking questions, and I was, because sometimes I was quite angry and I was in a rage about all of this stuff, and I wanted to know the answers to things. So I started asking questions in this journaling, and then actually through time, what I then discovered was that I was actually journaling and having voices respond to me that were helping me through my healing journey.
Yes.
So that was pretty amazing. And at the time I didn't question it. I just kind of kept writing and they kept responding, and it was helping me, and I just kind of followed that.
Yes.
Excellent.
And then probably about 80, so back in 2019, I then took a trip out to Berkeley in California to do a 4-day course in Embodied Anatomy and Embodied Embryology as well. So this was kind of further exploring some stuff that I was still holding on to, but also more from a professional point of view as well. I was kind of gaining more skills and things. And this is when it really started exploding for me. So 3 days into the 4-day course, we were exploring the heart and the lungs. So this was really deep into embodied anatomy. So we're talking the heart and then the lungs, and the heart is inside where the lungs are. And we were exploring the movement that you can get where the lungs go around the heart. So when you move forward, the lungs come around the heart, and it kind of helps hold and support the heart. And then as you lean back, they come around the back and then support the heart. So this was kind of the thing that we were exploring at the time. And this was just totally amazing for me. And I just, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. The feeling of being able to feel my heart and feel my lungs, but also feel that there was space there and that they move. I mean, that was just totally, totally amazing for me. So I was just in this moment of exploring this and loving the sensations and the experience, and everybody else was doing something else at that point, but I was still doing my lovely thing going on here. So, but then actually, then I didn't realize at the time, it was later on that evening, I had my very first wow experience, in that I'd gone back to my apartment afterwards, and I just sat there, and for about 2 hours, I literally just sat there and didn't do anything else for about 2 hours. And I could just feel this presence around me. And I could feel that my heart now was just instantly kind of opened, and this sensation of just feeling so connected with everything through my heart. And then I went off to the supermarket and to get some food for the dinner of the evening. And this will always stick in my mind. I went into this supermarket, and all I could see, it was literally like I was light, and out of my eyes, I could see it was light that was coming out of my eyes. And just this feeling of the fact that everybody in this shop, I was just loving. It was love. I was connected to love. It was love. I was love. They were love. Everything was love. And then there was just this like really weird sensation of light just coming out of my eyes. So that was my very, very first really expansive experience. And then I woke up the next morning just in complete bliss, like I'd been on drugs, loved it. And then the following day, so then on the fourth day, I had another really major experience, which I know that you've had, Eileen, which was a full-on Kundalini awakening. And that was mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing.
Yes. I just wanted to acknowledge that each of us in our own way took that initiative to, I want to know the answers. And that's all that going within is, right? Is it's an inquiry, and it's a regular inquiry. Like, I'm serious about this. I want to know. And then look what happens, for all of us when we inquire in that way. And so many other individuals who report these kinds of awakening experiences that can happen in such a variety of ways. But I feel that turning in the direction of the, the inward journey to say, I know something's here. I know there's something that I need to understand and welcome and ultimately heal, the rift, the trauma therapies, we all share that. And then when we turn in that direction, it happens for us. And that's such a beautiful testament to that, Liz. Thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Yeah, so there was the Kundalini awakening, and anyway, I then went back to the UK, came back to the UK, and kind of then tried to fit back into my life.
That one.
Yeah, I love that one.
And tried to fit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So bearing in mind, I have a husband and I have 3 children. That was quite a big ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because these experiences completely transform you from the inside. And I got back and I was a totally, totally different person than what I was when I left. And I'd only been away by that point for 6 days. So my husband had a little bit of adjusting to that, but even he said at that point, he said, "You're like a new woman. You're like a different person," and I was.
Yes.
And that was actually really. I mean, I joke about it now, but at the time, it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
To adjust, and this world just felt completely alien to me. I knew that I'd created this life. I knew that I'd done that, but it just felt like it wasn't my life. It felt like it was someone else's life. And I felt like an alien in it, actually. I just felt it wasn't me. So that was really, really hard.
Yes.
That was really hard.
Yes, we do share in that feeling, and we laugh about it now.
Yeah.
Because we have to, you know. But it's in finding each other and having these conversations that we're, it strengthens us. It's like, okay, I am not alone.
Yes.
There are others like me. And when we share what we learned through our own shift, then it helps, it offers pieces to each other. Like, oh, oh, thank you. You know, I feel so grateful when I have these conversations because I get these beautiful pieces of, you know, either affirming my life and my own experiences, or it adds a component to what I have been exploring, you know, an ongoing exploration, and then it just kind of clicks into place. And that's when we really understand how connected we all are, and that we are all aspects of the one, right? It's like we all have our journeys, of the, you know, these individual journeys, and then we come back together again, and we find out that, well, I've got this piece of wisdom, or I've got, and you have that, thank you, and then this is what brings us into that unified consciousness again.
Yeah, that's so important.
What a beautiful story, and I know it's an ongoing story, Liz.
It is. And can I just add after that? So these were really expansive, two very expansive experiences. But then that just catapulted then everything else. So for about 10 months after that, I experienced continuous, more and more expansive experiences in those kind of ways. In the same space as me still journaling and having conversations with these voices that were responding to me. They were helping me out as well. They were guiding me. They were giving me information. They were telling me things about my past lives and about other forms of consciousness. I was also experiencing other forms of consciousness that I have been. So I had literally 10 months of just continual expansive experiences, and it was so much, I had zero time to integrate any of it. It was just coming and coming and coming and coming. Then I hit 2020, and then I felt a really big shift within me, and it was like, no, this is now the time to integrate.
Oh, yeah.
This is the time now.
Great. Wow.
And it was around that time, I think, this is how I found you, Eileen, actually, which I am eternally grateful for.
And I as well.
I found you by researching Kundalini. Because I had never come across it before, didn't know what it was. At the time I experienced the Kundalini awakening, I had no idea that that's what I was experiencing. But I remember listening to you at some point on these dialogues, I think, about saying that you have these experiences, no one else has had them. So then you kind of feel like you need to do a bit of research on the internet. Yes. And kind of find out what best fits what I've just experienced.
Exactly how I found Eileen.
Is it?
Trying to figure out what I just experienced.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
We've come together through you, Eileen, from the Kundalini.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful, because my guidance has been put it out there, pump it out there, just put it, don't even listen to the criticism and the arguments and the, you know, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't say that here in this document, you know, yeah. What are you talking about, you know? And it's like, no, you don't understand. It's actual direct experience that is informing me. And then I have to go out. I did the same thing as you guys. I went out and said, okay, what is this? And sort of sounds like what they call Kundalini. But then, you know, when you read the accounts, it's like, well, just like with ufology. ETs, non-human intelligence. It's like, well, yeah, that's true, but not so much that. And
yeah,
you know, and it's like we have to, you know, we're adapting to non-local consciousness. We're remembering how to open those doorways, and the trauma healing is vital in opening those doorways. I think we can all attest to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love your journey, Liz, in what you shared with, it was contact with your physical body that, and your attention on it, your devotion to listening and to being present that opened that doorway. And it isn't I think we're here to say it isn't a big mystery.
Yeah.
It's, give your attention to it rather than listening to the manipulation and the distraction out in the world. If you go within and give your attention to this, it will respond. And so that's what I love about meeting both of you is that this becomes a stronger and stronger testament to that. That this isn't, we're not like these super, special, mystical, we are the mystic goddesses of Earth or the cosmos, or I don't have names for anything really. I cringe when I have to come up with labels, like to write on a flyer or whatever for an event, because it's like this is not definable here.
Yeah.
So I'm just overjoyed in hearing you share this, Liz, and I want to also say, please continue if there's more that you feel that you want to share.
There's only one more thing, which is when I found you through researching Kundalini, then the resonance as soon as I started reading your blog and your website was astounding, because here was another woman who journaled, who translated, who had messages, who spoke, who dialogued. And that for me is also the thing. It's like I have dialogues. I've always had dialogues. And this is something I know that you always are talking about. It's having a dialogue.
Yes.
It's not about praying to God. It's not about this external thing that we all worship and bow down to. It's about what's within you and dialoguing with it. And so I was overjoyed to just kind of go, wow, there's someone else out here who has had these experiences, who journals, who talks, who dialogues. It's like, wow, at last I found someone. Yeah. Because that's the other thing. I think along the way, I contacted various people that I'd found doing my research, and no one was really kind of in the space that I was in until I found you. And it's like, here we are. This is it now. This is where I need to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So I am so thankful. I can't keep saying it enough. I'm so thankful and grateful to be here and to have found you and Susanna and all the others in the group. It just feels like home. Yeah. It feels like I found my place now. I found where I fit in now.
Yeah, and who you can grow with, right? We have reached a space of transforming ourselves. So it's like, okay, I'm transforming. This is huge for me. Now, how do I be this in the world? How do I extend this truth, this new discovery about who I actually am? To in your case, Liz, to your family on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And, that we have another friend who shares this, same kind of dynamic of waking up within a family network and how that works. I've been fortunate along the way that I've had some, not always, but some isolation to integrate and to continue to adapt to these. We are actively expanding. Once we meet this within us, then it carries us into this, okay, now adapt to this, now adapt to this, now adapt. It's constantly changing. It's an absolutely dynamic, changing experience. So
I can't even imagine doing it within the context of relationship and family. I can't even imagine it. I feel myself very lucky to be not in that situation right now, because I don't think I could have handled it. Prior to this, I couldn't handle it anyway. And I was always trying to like fit in and, you know, trying to make the best of it, or, you know, who I was, and spent an awful lot of energy negating what I was experiencing, what it was, you know, being open to more. And I had this, I realized now that it was sort of my coping mechanism of categorizing it all. You know, this was a mystical experience. This was a dream experience. This was a, I don't know what the hell it was experience. All these boxes. And then that's how I met you, was on the 5th of January in 2020. I had this, I won't say often, I can see things on a little like screen out here. And it was a room full of boxes and they were dissolving. And I thought, well, that's interesting, as I'm brushing my teeth, watching this sort of happen. And watching this room full of boxes dissolve. And when I woke up the next morning, which was January 6th, Epiphany, I woke up with an epiphany that all my boxes had dissolved. I had nowhere to categorize these things anymore. And it was like, oh my fucking God, they're all the same thing. They are all the same thing. And they've been happening since, from my memory, when I was 2.5. And I just walked around in like a daze forever. And that's when I started researching online, as you do. And I found on one of the sites that I joined, I found a clip of Eileen's, an interview of Eileen's, and I responded to it, and she answered back, and she said, well, you know, that seems like it was a long time ago. It was like a year ago or something like that. You had recorded that, Eileen. And I thought, oh my God, she responded. And I felt this resonance. And then maybe we had some other back and forths or something like that. And I thought, I need to be in touch with her more. So I booked a session with you. And that was when I just had like another epiphany, like a month later, where you were the only person ever in my, you know, going to psychics or tarot readers or astrologers that had said that what I was experiencing, or what my orientation in the world was correct. You weren't trying to advise me on how to fit in anymore. You know, all the other ones were trying to advise me how best to make, you know, how best to fit in. And I was just gobsmacked. It was like, I said to her, you know, you mean I can do this? I can live like this? This is real? I can do this? I was just completely floored. And then after that permission, I just hit the boards and ran with it. And I'm just so thankful. And like you, Liz, I keep saying to Eileen, it seems like, you know, every day, and I'm sorry if it gets boring, but you know, I'm so thankful to know you. It's just like, oh my God, I just am.
Yeah. Well, the feelings are mutual, and it proves to me that the guidance is correct. See, I'm being guided to do this and to reach you. It's always been, you will, you know, you're going to find them, but here's what you have to do. You have to put yourself out there. You have to deal with the abuse. You have to be strong enough in yourself and what you know to be true to do this kind of work, and to be public about it. I know that we have to, once we're changed, if we come to the space of being changed, then it's like, I want to touch into something you said, Zuzana. It's like, you know, especially when you're in relationship with family, or just in relationship with your job, or, you know, your everyday life, You're going to constantly be presented with, no, what you're saying isn't true. Obviously, this is true, right? And then we have to come back and it's like, oh shit, I know everybody on the planet pretty much agrees with what this person just said.
Yeah.
But I was
I
shown.
must have to toe the line. I must have to get into shape, you know, and do
Yeah.
the right thing.
And then we would drop back into, okay, I will reduce my frequency. Basically, I will cause this. I will try to cut off these pieces of myself again. But at a certain point in this work, when you embody more, it will not allow you to cut it off anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have been exposed to this light and this truth in my body, just as you two have. And so when we come together in numbers like this is what changes the world. And again, I'm trusting there, but I have evidence here. I have evidence with others too, who are like us, who are saying, yes, this is true. Now, am I popular? No. People don't know what the hell to do with me. I do not regurgitate anything from the world. Sometimes I find alignment with some things in the world, like, oh, I kind of resonate with that. Like I was saying earlier, you know, when you go online, it's like, well, sort of like that, but not all the way, or, you know. But in the past, what we would do is go, well, that sort of sounds like it, so I'll buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then this is how psyops and disinformation occurs. Well, here's a little bit of truth. Okay, I'll buy the whole thing.
Yes.
And so this is a well-known way to keep human consciousness at these lower levels of the matrix reality spectrum.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is becoming those warrior spirits embodied, and we're not going to war with anything or anyone in the world. We are the being a warrior is about what I was just saying earlier. It's like, I know this light is true. This light that filled my whole body, I know this is the truth. Yeah. And it was scary at first, but I adapted to it. And I allowed it to move through me. And it shows me the way now. And it's called love. Mm-hmm. And love has gotten a bad rap here, right?
Yeah.
Just the name of it. It's just like, and soul. And these are the feminine. This is the feminine. This is the mother. This is the mother that has been suppressed within us. And it's up to us to rescue her.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's no ETs or angels or anyone that can do this for us. We have to do it. And so I really celebrate with you both this recognition, this knowing that is within us now. It is not a popular thing. It is not a supported thing in this world, because you were given the rhetoric to follow. You were told you needed an intermediary. And you don't need an intermediary. Go direct, and you'll be informed of everything that you need. And then then we grow in numbers. But right now, it takes a lot of what they call faith and trust and patience.
And chutzpah.
Yeah. Damn right. Damn right, Susan. Yeah, this is what power is. This is when you feel that light ignite inside of you, it's like, oh yeah, I remember now. I remember what this is.
And once that happens, you can't go back. I mean, that was a motivating force in my becoming a nomadic person. I was not willing to do the bullshit anymore. I was not willing to try and sell my soul to make stupid money, to pay rent, to, you know, to what? I don't do that anymore. I mean, maybe I will do it at one point in the future, but it will be from a very different place. It's not going to be from fear. It's not going to be because I have to or whatever, you know. It's just like, and I've been doing this for 3 years and I've been fine, more or less, you know, more or less. And I don't have any of the trappings that we are programmed to believe that we needed. And so I know it fully and totally in myself. It's absolute bullshit. And I got glimpses along the way, but you know, fear rode me hard for many years. But it's we don't, you know, if you follow that inner spark, if you follow what motive that thing, that love, then it's all given to you. You know, you find out where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, and people just, you know, and situations just evolve. And it's been an amazing trip.
I agree.
And not everybody has to do it my way, but there is the basic component is to leap off the cliff and trust. That I think is a basic component. You're not looking at anything that anybody's telling you is real, or how to do it. You find how to do it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And this is the really interesting challenge, being in the situation that I'm in with a family, because I'm forced to every day to be in this and to somehow work with this. Okay. And going back to what you were saying earlier, Zuzana, actually is about the having the boxes to put things into. That's the one thing that I've had to work with, because again, like you, for so long I was putting things in boxes, and there came a point where I just literally, like you've said, I couldn't do that anymore. I could not be these separate identities of in whatever box that I'm meant to be in. It just did not feel me. I couldn't do it. It wasn't me. And interestingly enough, I've gone through many stages of this kind of integration and embodiment process, in that there was a time after I came back from my trip in America, in Berkeley, it was like, I'm not meant to be here. I've got to get out of this life. I've got to go find somewhere where I feel more resonant with, because this is not where I feel resonant anymore. And that was a really, really difficult period in my life, because I had to face a lot of things, because I really didn't want to be here. There was quite a lot of time I just did not want to be here, because I just did not resonate with it anymore.
Right. I still go through with that periodically, and I've come to the understanding that if I'm somewhere, that's where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this is, there's that pull, that yes, inner pull, inner kick in the ass, you know, do this, you know, unless there's that, I'm here. Yeah.
And I had a similar transition, in that I had this realization after all this struggling with, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? I had this realization. It's like within me, it was like, I'm here for a reason. There's a reason why I'm here. Okay. And it's asking me to do something now.
Yes.
So I need to be with that, and I need to work out what the hell I'm meant to do with this, because I know I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I always knew, even before all of this started happening, I knew that I wanted to have a family, because I wanted to have a family that was created in love. And I mean unconditional love by that. I always knew that right from the beginning of having a family. Now I understand fully what that actually means, because that is the integration process I've been in, is unconditional love. What is unconditional love? And that has been my big learning process. And I've realized it's actually not about where you are, what environment you have, who you're with. It's actually so much more to do with what's going on inside you and how you relate to the world.
Absolutely.
And then when you're in that space, you then realize you're not in victim mode, you know, you're far more empowered.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then when you're in that space, then you listen even more to what's going on inside you.
Yes.
And then you can expand, you can find the space to expand more and more and more and more and
Right.
more. And it's finding that grounding, that integration, that anchoring, and that embodiment that then has allowed me certainly to be and function in this particular environment that I'm in, where I have to engage in this other psyops world every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have to.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I do that? That's been my quest, is how do I do that? Because, and how do I do that and still maintain my unconditional love? How do I still be in that space of unconditional love and still interact with that world? And that's been a real challenge, and it still continues to be a real challenge, actually.
Of course. Yeah. And you're answering the question by living it.
Yeah.
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 And
because,
when you live it, and then you start to see what's true, and you listen to your inner guidance, then you go, okay, I see that. So you're not arguing with the other reality.
No.
You're just returning your heart to yourself, and your awareness to what you know to be true in your embodiment. And then other things can present, and you can go, oh, that's, it's more like, oh, that's interesting. No, they still see it that way. Okay. But I still need to be me and move with this vibrational anchoring.
Yeah.
And then I find the people that resonate with me, and we build community.
Yes. Yes. And a big part of this for me has been the knowing, and this has always come from the feeling knowing. And what really resonated to me, I'm going to take, I think it's back to a conversation that you two had together about Zuzana had drawn a picture of the sediments of the, I don't know whether you remember that pastel that you drew.
Yeah.
The sediments of the layers of the consciousness. So at the time when you were showing that, I was having, again, all these visions and feeling knowings coming through about how that all works, and the multi-dimensional aspect of that.
Wow, cool.
So not only have you drawn the 2D picture, for me it was very multi-dimensional,
spherical,
spherical.
really
yeah,
spherical.
That's the one. That's the one.
Of course, we have the linear, two-dimensional here. Mm-hmm. But I'm really glad that you brought that up, Liz, because it just proves that we start to get these visions and these understandings of how reality actually works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not, while again, bits and pieces of it we can find in this world, but it all comes together in us, mm-hmm. in our consciousness. It makes sense here with the balance, the feminine, with using, our whole brain and whole consciousness, and our body is very much a part of it.
Absolutely.
Our heart consciousness. It's like we've been told to chop all this up, right? It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
And the integration process for me was very much about, and this is how I've now come to peace with where I'm at now, is this integration of all of these other aspects of consciousness, this expanded awareness that I have become into, on a spherical torus shape experience of it.
Yes.
and realizing that this world that I am in and have to engage in is actually only a very small part of that. Yeah. And the integration process is about realizing that is only a small part of it, and actually there's all this other stuff.
Yes.
All this other consciousness going on around us, and it's multi-layered, it's multi-frequency. There's so much information in it. And I guess maybe I'm heading towards talking about this being source or the field of consciousness, or however you like to term it. But it's the presence that has so many frequencies in it, and so much information within those frequencies. Yes. That's the whole picture.
That's it.
And when you realize that, you realize how small what we've been known to live in is that small. Then you have a totally different embodiment of it. Yeah. And how to live in that life. I now know how I can be in this life with having all of these other consciousness, because I realize that it is only that small part. So it is that integration of the consciousness coming in through our body, which is the one where we integrate it in, is the physical human body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our potential. That's our opportunity now. Yeah. Everyone can choose to do this.
Yeah.
And, and speaking of what you're referring to about we're only using, this is what's come through the messages so many times, we're only using a very small part of our consciousness. And so we're perceiving only a very thin line. And sometimes, it's like, okay, God, what is God? Well, God is explained in this tiny bandwidth as, what blah, 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 whatever rhetoric we've been given through most religions, right? And what about ETs and UFOs, especially in light of what's happening now with this whole, disclosure thing? Where are we seeking disclosure? Yeah. We're seeking disclosure in this thin band, this very thin spectrum. Yeah. Please, thin spectrum, tell us what ETs are. I mean, it really is insane.
It is. It's crazy.
Because what I've been trying to share with all of the content I pump out is you have to change. You have to understand all of these layers and dimensions, and how in your original design is what I'm always being shown in the visions, dreams, and in the messages. You must choose to go within and to awaken all of yourself. Then when you hear somebody say, man, that damn government's they got to tell us who those UFOs are. What is this coming into our reality? You'll go, oh, isn't that interesting how you see it that way? We don't have to argue with it.
Right.
But it's like you understand that you're still seeking from an authority that you're also saying you hate.
I know, right?
So it gets very confusing.
It does.
But to be dependent on outer world authorities inside this small bandwidth of consciousness, just step back and take a look at that. Now I had ET experiences. I had interactions. I did experience passing through the glass of my window in my bedroom and being taken out into space and being shown a parade of geometrical figures with tons of data downloading into me. Well, I came back, I came out of that, and it's like, well, how do I explain that? And so I start looking up abduction and all that stuff. And it's like, well, no, I mean, some components of it, but see, everything is being forced to fit within the available data in this tiny sliver
Yes. And if you don't fit into that tiny bandwidth, it gets thrown out.
And you know what you're called?
Yeah.
You're called woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that programming, oh my God, that has worked so well. First of all, that should be a red flag. To be in judgment of someone else's perception and view.
Yeah. Someone else's experience.
Especially when the experience has been a direct one and we're not getting our data from the world. We're getting our data from within. And then we're saying, oh, you call it that? Well, I see that, but here's from my own direct experience how that view is kind of enhanced within me, or I see it in a different way because through these quote ET encounters, they are over time in an evolutionary way, they are expanding my consciousness so that hopefully I can begin to understand who they are.
Right.
And it's one thing that always came through to me in my journaling was that, you know, I'd go through the whole process of, well, who am I talking to? You know,
right.
And who am I talking to today? And okay, you feel different, so you're different, so who are you?
What's your name?
Yeah. I was always wanting to know who it was I was talking to. And then one day they asked, well, why do you want to know? You know, why do you want to know? And I'm like, well, you know, because I've been trying to write this website, you know, and if I'm going to do this website, you know, passing these messages on, I've got to tell them who's passing these messages on, you know. So I need to know. I need to know. And they were just like, it's not important.
But Liz, and here's the other aspect of that. Well, if you don't know who it is, it could be the darkness.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
It could be the devil.
No. I've experienced firsthand, full-bodied, what the darkness is. I know what the darkness is. That is not the darkness.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
We know the flipping difference. We know the difference.
We do. Yeah. We know firsthand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, and we are not in denial of the darkness.
No.
Hell, that's what trauma work is.
Yeah.
It's like, let's look at this. Let's actually look at it, not run from it and not give it power by avoiding it and running from it. That's where that's that gap right there where we are easily manipulated because we're not whole and we're terrified to meet this trauma, this unconscious stuff within us.
Yeah.
And that is perpetuated in our reality here. We are told through so much of, you know, mostly religious indoctrination programming into we are sinners and we are nothing, and just apologize all day every day for just being here because you're just a piece of shit, you know, and you have to come begging to this authority that we're given through these human beings who have all this power. Once you have these experiences, it's like, you know, don't you see? Everybody, can't you see this? And if you can't see it, do what Liz was explaining in the beginning about her journey. Take charge. Go within and say, okay, what is going on here? I want to know. And then you're taken into your own awareness and your consciousness and your body. Healing starts to happen. Expansive experiences. It makes way for the embodiment of this, you know, call it Christ if you want. I'm very inspired by Jesus Christ and other teachers too. They were excellent demonstrators. I mean, even though the Bible was changed so much, it's still coming through. You know, that wisdom.
Yeah, you can feel it, you know.
Yeah. So I'm really celebrating that we can even have a conversation like this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very grateful for it. So what are your views of, you know, sometimes I've even had trouble, I don't even fit into ufology circles, even though I've had these experiences, because I don't fit into their categories, speaking of the boxes. And if you don't fit into their categories, then you're woo, or, you know, because I'm a translator and I try to explain that it's not, don't think channeling from the past and all the stuff that, all the programming and the stuff you were told it was bad. Or you, on the other hand, you have expectations of what should come from a channel. We all channel. We're all artists. And we can channel this force, this light. And because the line of demarcation for those who have been in ufology, where the judgment happens, I'm pretty sure, is when they go to my website or they see that I am appearing to channel. I'm translating. I call myself a bioenergetic translator because the presence permeates me. And in that frequency, like you were referring to earlier, Liz, the frequencies, the presence has data within it. And our bodies are designed to decode that. I don't need to translate it when it comes to me. You guys don't need to translate. It's for you. And it's to inform you. I translate because that's something I agreed to do. To try to reach people with their precious words and language. Because if you have so much trauma, you can't feel this directly unless you start going within and saying, I want to, I want to, I want to, and I'm here, and I'm dedicated to this. Then you can start to crack that egg. Don't wait for some experience, some magical experience to happen to you. You take charge and you make it happen.
Right.
I'm getting on my high horse again.
Well, I mean, it's well put, you know, well articulated.
Thanks. So what are your feelings about the big sensation now about government disclosure, ETs and all?
I just think they can go and do their thing. Me personally, I'm just so not in it, and I have no idea what's going on. I've heard there's a few rumblings in the UFO government and all this, that, and the other. But it's just like, as far as I'm concerned, it's just like, okay, that's fine. You do what you want to do.
Right.
But I'm going to keep on my road, which is listening from within and feeling.
Right.
And I am constantly, in each moment, in every day, guided by this feeling and this knowing and this presence and the communion. And like you, it's a communion. It's not channeling. Mm-hmm. It is a communion because you are in two shared spaces of, or shared spaces of frequency, and it's the frequency that you feel through your body, which then words emerge from.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's not channeling in the traditional sense of channeling. It for me as well, it's very much it comes from a feeling.
Yes.
And for me, because I'm a dancer and a somatic practitioner, it comes in movement feeling. So I feel things and I feel the quality of moving, and then that's how the words emerge from those feeling qualities that I feel.
Yes.
And it's, for me, again, that's so important to try to get across to people. Not that I'm trying to convince anybody, but it's just making a distinction between what was and actually what we're in right now, which I feel is very different to how it used to be.
Right.
Because I feel like it's emerging. It is a merging of consciousness.
It is.
And you don't need words for that merging because they're irrelevant.
They are.
That's not how we commune. It's through other feeling and knowing.
That's right. That's right.
And the amazing thing is that we all have access to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every single one of us. Us three are not special people that have been singled out for these kind of things. Everybody has the access to this.
Yeah. We have all the hardware and the software. We were born with it, and we just have to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
How to get rid of any invading programs or viruses, that want to take over and make you, do something else. But you're born with it.
And it is a restoration, as you keep saying, Eileen, it is a restoration.
Yeah. It is. It's we've been calling this, evolution of an experiencer, all about evolution. But the messages that I have brought through have always said, it's not so much about evolution at this point. It's about restoration. It's about restoring your original design. And when you eliminate the mother, when you eliminate the feminine aspect of your consciousness, this is what happens. And you're easily controlled as a result.
Yeah. And here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only way out is in.
Yeah.
is through our own awakening and our own restoration, choosing to do that through the dialogue in whatever way we find that dialogue, because each of us has found it in our own ways. And then I just started doing the groups because I know how important it is that, especially if you're afraid right now, it's really important that people know they have these tools to truly understand what's happening, rather than relying again on the politicians or the priests, the ones that we've given authority to. That's not to say they're all bad. I'm sure there's some wonderful beings that are in these positions that do know and have gone within and have been changed. And they're just standing in their positions, waiting for that movement to occur through them to be of service at this time. Like emissaries.
Yeah.
The healers, the guides, the ones who will step up at this timing to help people reorient. And that's another thing that, we had talked about possibly exploring in this conversation is, what are you feeling or sensing right now? Mm-hmm. Knowing that, whatever data we get, we usually don't get timing on it. It's like, and this is going to happen on June, 28th. It's not about time. It's about knowing what you need to know when you need to know it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I've had dreams. We were going to include Jeannie in this conversation, and because she just had a very, very powerful dream.
Yeah.
And we'll hear that at another time, but if it's appropriate at that timing. But I've had similar dreams, and I usually blog them, but I haven't been blogging all of them lately.
Oh.
Because they're so, it would take so long to explain it, you know, so that it isn't taken literally, you know?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That it's like I just don't have that time anymore to break things down to the linear mind.
Yeah, it's things are moving so fast. It's like the dream is here and then it's gone and you're on to the next thing. Sort of thing, you know, that's what it feels like to me.
It's, yeah, I agree.
It's moving so fast. There is not any time anymore to pick it apart.
Exactly.
You know, analyze and what does this mean and all this sort of stuff. I mean, that's fun to do. It's really neat, but what I'm feeling at the moment with the passage of time, or the perception of the passage of time, is just like there's not time to do that anymore.
No, in fact, one of the earliest visions I had, and this might have even come in the 90s, before I was doing the verbal translation, and I was just scratching out, you know, what I was seeing, what they were showing me. I say they.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say they because I know it's aspects of me, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is how consciousness works, but I've had to say they because of who I'm talking to, who my audience is, right? But you know, what they showed me, and this is how the visions are, is they'll show you. In this case, it was like, okay, here is what this experience is going to be like, the one that's yet to come, but also I felt it in the Kundalini experiences. I have felt it in the contact experiences where it's so present. It's all you know is this. There is no other reality but, you know, basically me and my maker. Because it's all right here and we have to feel it all. And this is kind of what the Kundalini event was, you know, that being present with this force that's exploding and moving inside of me. And then showing me by bumping up against things like, you know, it's like the fear would arise, or I would notice the block, and that was when I still had the sense of me as separate from it.
Yeah.
And then I would have to just say, you know, yes, just allow, right? Do with me what you will, you know, because I surrender to this light. And then it's the oneness, the full oneness experience. But what they were showing me in the 90s, just what you were saying, Susanna, that there isn't any time. And so in the vision, it was like, you're not gonna be able to go, oh, well, I wonder what that means. Let me go to the internet, you know, or let me look through my notes, or, you know, none of that. Whew, here it is.
Yeah.
Meet it.
Yeah.
Meet it.
Yeah.
Don't. That's what it boils down to. That's the experience that everyone will come to. That's called death. And do we die and be reborn in our form? Or do we lose our bodies? to rediscover or find out who we actually are.
Mm, mm.
So a death and a rebirth has to happen. And we will meet this light. How prepared are we to meet this light?
Yeah.
It's not a concept. It's not an idea. It's a very real presence.
Yeah.
And you get to find out how close you are when you talk about God or Jesus or love or the light. You get to find out in your form how close you are, how in alignment you are with that, how much you vibrate with that.
Yeah.
And all that said, you are extraordinarily loved. But it's time to grow up. It's time to remember who you are, right? It's time to embody it.
Yeah.
That's how you change this reality. I'm always saying it's never going to get better here. It will never. There will never be peace on earth in this small spectrum of reality. It is designed to keep us in fear and to harvest our energy.
Mm-hmm.
So we can choose that. That's a choice. It's a free will choice. You can choose to stay looping inside this system, or you can choose with your own will to transform your being and rise to your highest level. And then, of course, people call that ascension, right? I don't know. Is that ascension?
I don't know either. These terms and these words, it just kind of gets lost in the mix of all the rhetoric out there rather than the experience.
And then we start having a relationship with the rhetoric instead of the action.
Yeah, that's not something I want to dance with.
No. And it is experience. Everything is experience. Words and terms and definitions they're all things, actually. They're all things. And this is it. It's like we have an experience, and that is who we are. Our experience is who we are. And certainly, if I can just come into what you were saying a minute ago, Eileen, since I joined one of your transmission groups, again, as you know, I had quite a lot of strong reactions with that. Mm-hmm. But what it was asking of me in each one of those moments was to meet my maker. Even more so than what I've already done through this long, rather expansive process I've been in for 4 years. It's each time I experience something like this, it is asking me to meet my maker. Will you meet your maker?
Yes.
And each time I say yes. But then I have a period of, oh my God, no, I can't, that's too much.
Yeah.
No, it's too big, that's not me. That's can't possibly be me.
Right.
So, and that's the death that you're talking about. That's the ego death.
Yes.
Which you have to go through
mm-hmm.
in order then to be able to integrate and embody having just met your maker. Yeah. And then it's the same process, and it's the same process.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you're saying, it doesn't happen just once.
No,
you have to be willing to do this all the time, each moment, every day. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down on it. They think that, you go to India to get enlightenment, or you ascend and that's it, or whatever. But it's not a a one-time event.
Yes.
Like our lives are not one time, if like the things that we have experienced in our lives, they're not one-time events. They keeps expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. And it's just like, whoa, this is so much fun. You know, even when it's not, you know, it's so much fun. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm challenged almost on a daily basis. I meet conundrums, the conundrums and the paradox.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here you are again, you know? And, you know, and I was guided as to how to meet these each time, and I get better and better at it. Let's just put it that way. But I'm not done. I'm never done. I'm always, you know, they showed me early on in these dialogues that I think I might have already said this, but I'll expand on it. It's like at a certain point, you have to make that choice. Are you going to continue with the contraction? Are you going to continue to say, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I will obey. I'll do whatever you say. And you want me to be a machine now? Do you want me to be part machine? Okay. Well, you know, I just want to, you know, have my job and my, you know, my income, and I want to be able to pay my bills and
My comfort.
Yeah, and maybe I can take a vacation every once in a while. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so the contraction. That is not as scary as turning to the light and expanding, being willing to die into it.
Yeah, because you don't know what's on the other side.
You don't know. You have to trust. And then you have all this chatter in your head of all that you were told from this machine, this system, that it's bad. Don't do that. It's the devil. It's all this bad stuff is going to happen to you. Well, this is your choice. Do you turn in the direction of actual light? And do you embrace that? And do you say, yes, change me, transform me. I'm willing to die into this light so that I can be reborn into true authenticity, true power as a divine human. That is the way we were designed. But do you think I have any popularity on the internet? No. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Because I found you guys. And we're speaking this out loud.
Yeah.
Once we start speaking it out loud, we speak it out loud first ourselves so we can adjust to the truth and adapt to the truth. Then we start speaking to each other. That's what the last group of the month is about.
Yeah.
Practice speaking this to each other. That's when the transformation begins in this realm, to where the light can start pouring through and actually shift the beings that are stuck here.
Yep.
And so I'm honored to know both of you. I'm so thankful, so grateful that I faced the fear of exposing myself in this way. It was terrifying. I still move through fear sometimes about this, about saying all of this out loud, because I can't find this stuff on the internet. Maybe some glimmers of it.
Yeah, little pieces here and there, but it's never the whole shebang, as they say, you know. I mean, this is.
I found lots of inspiration out there, but you know, nothing wholly in place, and we won't find it because we have to do that.
Yeah.
But you see, this is what pulled me towards you, Eileen, because you were the only one that didn't follow
Right. Exactly.
all of the other stuff. you were the one that was saying that's not what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
You were the one saying we need to find our own language. We need to find our own space with this. You were the only one.
It was the authentic voice, you know. I've been looking for that for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing that really jived with me, where I thought, whoa, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I want to continue experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It is that authenticity and truth that you know, that I know that you don't have the words. I know that I don't have the words. But it is that frequency of truth. It's you can feel the frequency of truth.
Yeah,
that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Because you know, and the truth is not something that you're setting out for people. You're not saying this is the way it has to be. This is the path you have to follow. This is the practice you have to do.
Right.
Oh gosh, no, it's coming from a way different place than that. It's coming from the truth. It's coming from the presence. It's that direct connection. And I think that's what people like Susanna and me and the others in the group are picking up on, because that's what resonates within us.
Right. It enlivens, it should enliven you, and it should, not should, there's no shoulds here, but it just shows you where it lights up in you. And you say, I know this. Yeah. I know this is true.
Yeah. Yeah. It shines a light within us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we can see, no, it's really, really worth doing this rather than trying to fit in.
Or go with the contraction. Right now we're in suspended animation. We're suspended right now. And the choices are being made. This is what I'm shown.
Yeah. No, exactly. It is.
And I'm translating, right? So understand that it's the feeling, knowing directly. And also, Liz, I wanted to jump in and say, yes, feeling, knowing the truth is what sets you free. Yeah. That's what that Bible verse means.
Yeah.
Because once we feel it and we know it, we have the knowing, we are set free.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I feel you were guiding us towards. You've been guiding us towards our own truth. And actually, it's our own truth that sets us free, because you get us in the space of feeling truth.
Yes.
And once we know that in you, we know that in ourselves.
Yeah. Right. It's just,
and
then you go out and you resonate with this. And then the people around you will start to go, whoa, what is this? And
ripple effect.
Yeah.
And choose it.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is exactly how now I work within the context that I'm in, is that I stand in a daily space of my own truth. And that doesn't mean that I stand and go, I talk to ETs, or I do this, or, I have these experiences, or whatever. I learned a long while ago that that's actually not what speaking your truth is about. Speaking your truth is about standing in this space of your own truth and just being your truth. And actually that does the work. That you don't have to do anything, you just have to be it.
Yeah, it's the being rather than the doing. Absolutely.
And people respond to that. People actually respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made so many big steps in my life, particularly in the last few months, as you guys know, of stepping through certain doors of fear, of certain situations, because I've chosen to be in this space of truth and to be guided by it and let it do the work. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just kind of being it and transmitting it through how I am and through what I'm saying, and being guided in the moment about what to say.
Yes.
Where to take conversations. It is this complete and utter trust and faith in in this, I don't even know what words to use, but this, you know, this presence, this love. It is love.
It is love.
Yeah.
It is love. And we're embodying that love. And so that's how you know what to say. And if you start to say something that isn't in vibration with it, your body will go, whoa, that's not true. That's not in alignment with love, right? So you'll feel it, and you know, you can correct it in that moment. There's one last thread that I wanted to mention along the lines of ufology and ETs and all. What I've tried to say all along is, you know, this is my comment on what's happening with ufology and disclosure and all. The visitations happened for me to simply shove me out of my sleeping space, shove me off the sleeping trajectory, to keep bothering me, so that I would get mad, so that I would have a reaction, so that I would investigate. And by beginning the investigation is where I then landed into the truth. Ultimately, I feel any form of non-human intelligence that is of a benevolent nature and a loving nature, aligned with love, aligned with source, who communes through the field, through the source field with us, which is how I receive data. They are only trying to wake us up to what we are, you know, just to help us snap out of it without losing our bodies, right? So it is traumatizing. It is, you know, you do go into victimhood for a while. You know, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? They're so scary. Well, they're only scary, you know, for these kinds of interactions that I'm addressing. I can't speak for everyone and how they interpret their experiences.
Right.
But what I learned through contact was, it's time to wake up. It's time to discover this light within you. Then, of course, you'll know who we are. You will discover who we are through your inner consciousness. If you rely on your limited spectrum of reality to inform you, well, then you should know what to expect from that. And it's our job to meet that love within us and to identify with it instead of this system, trying to find an identity within this system. And choosing our divine identity and living from that space. So that's I just wanted to share that part, because I've been trying to connect with people on Twitter and on hashtag UFO Twitter, and I have met some extraordinary individuals, and I'm very, very, I'm excited and happy about that. But there's still a lot of noise there, kind of obsession over looking to these world authorities to tell us who we are and what we're connected to. Here's a clue. They don't know. Don't ask them, they don't know. But they're happy to make shit up.
Yeah. And also the point that I would like to put forward about this supposed disclosure stuff that's happening presently is the places that it's coming from, have you trusted them all this time? Have they acted in your best interest all this time? If it's the government, or if it's, you know, World Health Organization or CDC or whatever organization it is, do they operate in having your highest good in their hearts and minds, you know? And why all of a sudden are they the good guys or whatever, or, you know, why did all of a sudden do they have your best interest in heart through this disclosure?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's a conundrum to me. Like, all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, well, we want the government to disclose all this stuff, and we'll believe it. And have you believed everything else that they've said, done, affected all of these decades and things like that? And that to me is odd. It is just odd.
Yeah, I agree. And then what Liz said too is just, you know, we all need to explore what we're drawn to explore.
It's just let it all happen. Let it
Yeah,
all happen.
yeah, and it's important to keep moving and engaging with whatever is the most exciting thing for you, and eventually it will lead ultimately to what is true and what is actual.
Yeah, that is the thing that I've always gotten the message from. Always do what excites, enthuses, and interests you. I mean, that was told to me time and time and time again. That's the one thing that they had to drum into me.
Yeah.
And if I follow that, and I assume that it would work for other people, I'm never disappointed, ever, ever, ever.
That's right. Because you are led, as long as you're excited and you have a lot of passion and you're engaged, you will be led to the truth eventually. Yeah. But I just want to say to everyone, your context, you know, you're huge. You are amazing and massively huge. You are the light of the divine, and don't settle. Just don't settle.
Yeah.
Because, you know, just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. It's way more than you can think, and it's way more really than we can even imagine, from this limited spectrum. Turn in the direction of the light, dialogue, be willing to have that conversation, and then we'll keep coming back together like this and sharing where we are in this process. And you know what? I've said this before. I do this because I'm trying to send out videos and blog posts to the old me who was desperate to find
hang in there,
something. And so this is for you, for all the people who are searching for this, to feel seen and heard, that you're not crazy, and that you are a divine being, and you are on that path, and keep trusting, keep going within, keep dialoguing with the presence of love, and you will be guided forward.
Absolutely.
And there's no religion that I align with here. It's just, again, you guys know, it's direct experience that informs us. Feeling that love in our form, the way we were designed to feel it and live with it and act from it and create from it. And so we'll bring this to a close unless you have anything else to share in closing thoughts, the two of you.
I feel pretty complete. This was great. Love it.
Yeah, just thank you to you two. It's been so lovely to converse with you. I've watched you guys for the last year on your dialogues, and you know, there's been many times I've just been yes, yes, yes.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
And times where I've heard you, Eileen, say in some of your, I think it was in some of your Sunday ramblings that you were doing, you know, who is it am I talking to, and praying, and I'm like, yes, it's people like me. You're talking to me.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I've made so many more of those, but I never posted them because we're just kind of coming to a time where I don't know. We're changing again. Yeah. But I want to say too, Liz, thank you for that, and I love your little skeleton guy in the back.
Yeah. I forgot he was there actually, but yeah.
The fourth experience.
Yeah, the fourth member.
Yeah. Okay, well, lots of love to you guys. Thank you for joining me. It always lifts me and fills me with such joy.
Me too. This was great. Thanks for taking the time, both of you guys.
Thank you.